Chapter 611, Kidnapper, one who returns to the Guiyi J2. Kuog, Hukuog, the entire human race writhes in agony as glass true fire engulfs them. Especially in the areas where the eye is directed, the flames burn even more fiercely. Azure Cold Island is right there. The disciples of the Azure Heaven Creation sect revel in the flames, bathing in the glass true fire, while Jun grits his teeth, enduring the pain it brings. But Jun Jae is different. Hukuog, Jun Jae's entire body, is transforming. His whole body transforms into flames of glass as he screams in pain and terror. No. What is this? Kuog, Jun witnessing the sight, subconsciously tries to look up at the sky. Seeing this, Jun Jae clenches his teeth and rushes toward him, pressing his head down. No, don't look, you must not look at them. Jun Jae, his expression sorrowful, begins to dissolve into glass flames and is absorbed into the sky. I leave the rest to you. Gradually, his expression turns blank as he is sucked even faster towards the sky. Ritu. Jun hearing his final words, stands frozen in confusion, staring blankly into the void. Return Guiyi to thee. Warurururuk. At last, the dreadful eye looming in the sky vanishes. And Jun having witnessed that existence, is treated as if he has undergone heavenly tribulation and advances to the integration stage. Jun rises to his feet. That being bestowed wisdom upon him. Sword Devil. It is the wisdom of the entity his ancestor, Jun Jae, had taught him about, the Sword Devil Seo Unyun. He now understands what situation has befallen Jun Jae. According to the wisdom granted by that being, it is not such a terrible situation. By returning Guiyi to the Sword Devil Seo Unyun, who was once called one of the three great calamities of the human race, he will now live a far better life as their subordinate. Even the lifespan issue that Jun Jae had worried about is resolved. Having just witnessed his ancestor being kidnapped in an instant, Jun can only stare blankly at the sky. Am I free? The two figures who had oppressed him his entire life, Jun Jae and Azure Tiger Saint, have vanished today. One within the heavenly tribulation, and the other by returning Guiyi to a true immortal. Jun has gained the freedom he desired. But having acquired it so suddenly, he has no idea what to do. Amidst panic and confusion, he simply collapses onto the ground. Nether Ghost Realm. There, someone, practicing the ghost path method looks up at the sky. What is this? The celestial energy. Just then, Jaejauk. Just like in the bright cold realm, the sky splits open, and a gigantic eye appears. Kuog, the ghost path method cultivator, Yu-He, screams as he instantly returns Guiyi to that being. The eye then disappears from the sky of the Nether Ghost Realm once again. Such events occur throughout the entire Sun and Moon heavenly domain. Seo Unyun's winged garment drifts across the Sun and Moon heavenly domain, delivering Seo Unyun's gaze to various locations. It's done. I've secured Yu-He, and I've got Jun Jae to use when I head to the Elephant Nose heavenly domain. And I read through history while gritting my teeth towards Jun Jae, who has now entered my body. So it was you who pushed Azure Tiger Saint to his death. You bastard. But just as I am about to direct my anger toward Jun Jae, I catch a strange scene within his past. The moment Azure Tiger Saint underwent the heavenly tribulation. What's that? Jun Jae hadn't noticed, but the beings present at that moment were four. Azure Tiger Saint, Jun Jae, and Azure Tiger Saint's new disciple, Jun And one more entity, a deer. It is a white deer. The deer approaches Azure Tiger Saint as if unaffected by the heavenly tribulation, and then vanishes. Immediately after, Azure Tiger Saint disappears as well. What in the world? I am taken aback, unable to comprehend it. Wasn't Azure Tiger Saint killed by the heavenly tribulation? Azure Tiger Saint wasn't obliterated by the heavenly tribulation. Instead, he disappeared, along with that deer-like something. That too towards a place I can't even begin to identify. Did some higher existence take him away? There's nothing I can verify right now. I have something to say. Please, Kukwik. I continue maneuvering my winged garment while fleeing from the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Next, the winged garment reveals the location of Hamjin. Through it, my gaze reaches where Hamjin is. The sky above Hamjin's planet opens, and my eye stares directly at him. Ham Jin meets my gaze and calmly turns into glass true fire as he naturally returns Guiyi to me. Next is Yo He. Listen to my words, Seo Unyun. While my true body keeps the sword spear heavenly lord occupied, my winged garment heads toward cedarwood painting. Blink. The sky of cedarwood painting opens, and I look upon Yo He. Huekiog. Yo He stares at me in shock before speaking with a face of disbelief. And no way, that's a winged garment. See, could it be heaven immortal? Recognizing me as a heaven upper immortal at once, Yo He lets out a hollow laugh before charging straight at me. Ha ha ha, as expected, my judgment was never wrong. I, Yo He, pledge my loyalty to my master. Warurururuk. Yo He instantly transforms into glass true fire and naturally returns Guiyi to me. The last one is golden shaking bird. I'm telling you to wait. Kukwik, Korarararik. My winged garment carries my command and swiftly moves to the edge of the sun and moon heavenly domain. To the place where Yongsu Jin's ring finger, the lightning sacred sea, is located. And through my winged garment, I transmit my will to golden shaking bird there. I inform her about Jaeon Myong-hoon, and as golden shaking bird is half in doubt. Seo Unyun, I'm telling you to listen to me. Flash, Quagwagwagwang. With both my arms gripped by the sword spear heavenly lord, I am slammed onto the surface of a planet. Ah, no, I'm caught. There's no time left. There is no time to kindly explain things to golden shaking bird. I transmit my power towards my winged garment. Kururururung. At the far edge of the universe, I sense my winged garment absorbing my power and wrapping around the lightning sacred sea. Golden shaking bird convulses, but there's no choice. Korarararik. My winged garment envelops the entire lightning sacred sea and, regardless of golden shaking bird's convulsions, connects to the lightning sacred sea through the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique and extracts it. Seo Unyun, there is something I need to say to you. What is it? Just what exactly is it that you have instilled into me? I swallow. Hurry, hurry. Golden shaking bird resists, but at last, the lightning sacred sea is completely pulled out from the sun and moon heavenly domain. Now, then, my winged garment transfers the lightning sacred sea into my body. That is, I slow my speech as much as possible, trying to buy time. Immediately after, my winged garment swiftly heads back towards the middle realm zone. While later, from the distance, I see Hong Fan, who has taken the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. My winged garment swallows Hong Fan whole and transfers him into my body, and only then do I realize that my business in the sun and moon heavenly domain is finally over. For now, I cannot tell you. What, Jaejauk. My body instantly turns into a hazy mist. And from within the mist, a familiar figure emerges. It is Inyi. Drawing the bowstring, Inyi shoots an arrow straight at the sword spear heavenly lord's chest. The immortal art sun shooting strikes her chest. Exclamation mark. Even the sword spear heavenly lord, one of the Radiance 8 immortals, flinches from being struck by sun shooting and momentarily pulls away from me. Seizing that fleeting instant, I cut my neck. With this, it's over. Shukek. Wait, Seo Unyun. I said wait. The next place I appear is the teleportation formation leading to the Heavenly King heavenly domain. As soon as I exert my will, my winged garment, flying from afar, lands neatly upon me. How incredibly convenient, this winged garment. Draped in my winged garment, I glance behind me. Keying, the jade of yin-yang and 5 elements gathers in my hand. I begin collapsing the entire dimension containing the teleportation formation with the phenomena extinguishing mantra. Kurururung. The entrance to the teleportation formation on this side crumbles. At the same time, I see the sword spear heavenly lord flying towards me from afar. Seo Unyun. I apologize, but let us meet again next time. Well then, I shall take my leave. With that, I kidnap those I need from the sun and moon heavenly domain and depart for the Heavenly King heavenly domain. Heavenly King heavenly domain. Flash. I arrive at the teleportation formation there. Who goes there? And after swiftly killing the bothersome gatekeeping true immortal in a single strike, I reveal my true form. Kururururung. My true form as the immortal beast candle shadow emerges. Before long, familiar true immortals appear. How dare you? Do you think you can invade Radiance Hall and walk away unscathed? Jaejauk. I open my mouth towards a familiar one among the bothersome true immortals. Hyok. Why you bastard? What are you? A true immortal I met in the past cycle who walks the same immortal Tao of the mountain Shan as I do. I need this one. Gulp. After wrapping the true immortal, who walks the immortal Tao of the mountain, with my winged garment and sealing them away, I swallow them in my candle shadow form and imprison them in my inner world. Seeing this, the true immortals of Radiance Hall begin convulsing in madness. That bastard ate an upper immortal of Radiance Hall. Look at the power radiating from him. That power is. It's the immortal Tao of the mountain. A devil immortal influenced by the great mountain supreme deity has been born. Capture him. Do not let him escape. It seems that the sight of me consuming a fellow immortal touches their reverse scale, reminding them of the great mountain supreme deity. Numerous true immortals charge at me even more ferociously than in my previous life. And perhaps because my perspective has shifted, I can sense even immortal lord level and great net immortal level beings in the distance. However, I am not particularly worried. I have no further business with you all. So then, farewell, heavenly escape. Shuckwick. I instantly transform into my transformation form, then cut my neck, committing suicide. Thus, by using heavenly escape to enter the domain of purity, I very easily shake off the pursuit of the true immortals of Radiance Hall. In this life, I won't be caught so easily. At the end of my last life, I saw hope. The hope of severing regression. Thus, my first priority in this life is longevity. I will live long, accumulate as much power as possible, reach the realm of great net immortal, and seize a definitive starting point to severing regression. And before that even happens, like hell will I let myself be caught by the likes of you. Unlike my past lives, I will not get entangled with supreme deities or heavenly venerables. Instead, I will live as long as possible, elevate my cultivation to the realm of great net immortal, and grasp the hope of breaking free from regression. That is the greatest objective of this life. Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. Gazing at the collapsed teleportation formation there, the sword spear Heavenly Lord trembles. Xiao Yun. She strokes her mask as she continues speaking. There are too many things. I need to ask you. What are these memories that are surfacing within her? Why does she have recollections of feeling affection for someone in the head realm that she has not been to? She must ask him about it. But soon, as she trembles, the sword spear Heavenly Lord sharply fixes her gaze towards a specific point. She peers beyond the dimension, into a deep and even deeper dimension. Towards a darkness where no light reaches. Is it you, Underworld? No answer comes from the darkness. You, what have you done to me? Joining hands with the Ender. Still, there is no reply. The darkness only wavers, as if mocking the sword spear Heavenly Lord. Clutching at her chest, the sword spear Heavenly Lord growls. I will find the answers. What these memories are, what this strange feeling boiling within my chest is. And I will expose your sins one by one, making you all pay for your mockery of Radiance Hall. After gazing at the underworld for some time, the sword spear Heavenly Lord leaves the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. With the teleportation formation destroyed, she has to cross over to the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain on her own. The depths of the underworld. The deepest, darkest place. There, a being carries a white wheel upon their back. That ancient and dark being lets out a slow chuckle. Then, whispering so no one can overhear, they mutter. Stay vigilant, O regressor. That being looks up at Xiao Yun, who arrived in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, slaughtered the heaven immortals there, and kidnapped a few, confining them within his body. Those of heavenly venerable rank are beginning to awaken. The being, known to some as the oldest one, looks over the many seats scattered across the Sumeru Three Heavens Great Thousand World, as well as their seat holders, and murmurs softly. Chapter 612. A Hungry World 1. Querararik. Using Heavenly Escape, I arrive at the edge of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain after several days. I reach the teleportation formation leading to the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain. A lot has changed from before. Setting aside the regression point, the fact that the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord can now perceive me is an enormous problem. I can no longer let my guard down under the gaze of Radiance Hall like before. As I step onto the teleportation formation heading to the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, I contemplate. I need a different approach from now on. If I want to live long and grow stronger, I have to hide in a deep place. There was clear longing in the voice of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord calling out to me. Had this been before, I wouldn't have been able to ignore that longing. I would have at least listened to some of what the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord had to say. But now, I know, thanks to Mike Jin, I now know of their insane, ultimate goal that only a select few in Radiance Hall are aware of. And judging by her actions thus far, I can tell that the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord is truly and sincerely devoted to that insane ultimate goal. The reason I tried to erase the immortal cultivation system a little radically and self-righteously in my past life must have been because I was influenced by the light. In the end, their ultimate goal must have been subtly melded within that light. I, too, momentarily resonated with their will. Recalling the ultimate goal I heard from Mike Jin sends shivers throughout my body. Even thinking about it again, isn't it a truly insane goal? And Mike Jin, who remained in Radiance Hall even after learning of that goal for the sake of justice, he was really quite something. No. Should I say he was crazy as well? Flash. As I blink, the scenery of the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain unfolds before my eyes before I know it. And the moment I reveal myself in the Bearing Tree Heavenly Domain, yet another familiar presence rushes toward me. It is Glass Peacock. Damn it, what even are you? My goodness, to think someone like you exists in this world. Why did this immortal not know? Why did I not know until now? See, come here, I will make you happy. Quote. Letting out a faint sigh, I scatter the canvas of myriad forms and connections around me. Keying. A pure white 3 great ultimates appears behind me. Immortal art. Glass avidya advancement light. A radiant white light crosses through distant space-time, flying towards me. I calmly draw forth the figure of Inyi from the canvas of myriad forms and connections and aim at the incoming glass avidya advancement light. Immortal art. Sun shooting. Tuwang. The arrow imbued with the power of filling the heavens governing view and the impermanent sword pierces through the glass avidya advancement light, tearing through space, and shoots towards Glass Peacock. Glass Peacock attempts to evade using the strength of explosion, but I open my eyes. Fate Prophecy Yun Ming Yu Yan. History Revision Li Shi Gai Quan. Triple Divinity San Xian Xing. A scene of Glass Peacock being skewered by the arrow of sun shooting is imbued. History Revision counters Glass Peacock's revision, forcibly changing all possible outcomes of evasion into failure. Tukwang. The arrow of sun shooting plunges directly into Glass Peacock's chest. The power of Brahma nature momentarily overlays filling the heavens governing view onto Glass Peacock's mental world. Endless failures are imprinted into Glass Peacock's mind in an instant, and Narayana nature maintains those moments of failure. Finally, the power of Mahavira nature extinguishes all the power of explosion within Glass Peacock, and momentarily erases their will to resist. Through prophecy and history revision, I successfully land my attack. Then, with triple divinity, I infuse my immortal art into Glass Peacock, forcing them to experience endless defeat. Uguguk. Uguk. Glass Peacock twitches, impaled by my arrow and their body skewered against a nearby fixed star. If it were the main body, I wouldn't be so sure, but a mere clone at most at the great net immortal level isn't that difficult anymore. It's just when I think so. Uguguk. What in the world is this? Marvelous. My goodness, to think such an enlightenment exists. Moreover, revision and prophecy at the same time. You're a heaven-earth upper immortal. Quote. Glass Peacock appears strangely excited. What a pitiful thing, you don't even realize the flaws of the path of heaven-earth upper immortal, do you? I shall embrace and comfort you. If it is a curse that splits your personality, then through communion with this immortal, it can be sufficiently delayed. Even if your personality fragments, if I completely violate both. Hang. J. Just imagining it is far too delightful. Come here. Hurry. Come. Quote. Kurring. Kurururung. Though Glass Peacock has clearly taken a hit from my strike, from the way they move, they neither seem to be in much pain nor significantly injured. They'll break free before long. I need to get to Jaeon Myung-hoon before that happens. Clicking my tongue, I gather Glass True Fire in both hands and hurl another immortal art of sun shooting at Glass Peacock. The arrow of Glass True Fire embeds itself into Glass Peacock once more, and their entire body ignites in its flames. That should buy me a bit more time, right? However, Glass Peacock only seems to enjoy it more, so I hurriedly head towards the interdimensional void. I ignore Glass Peacock's voice that's filled with madness, echoing behind me. Damn it, this brat. Just what attack did he do to me? My body. It keeps heating up. They sure are impressive. Rather than suffering from the pain imbued in Glass True Fire, they recognize the enlightenment within it and grow excited. Regardless, it is still something worthy of respect. Letting out a sigh, I leave Glass Peacock behind and head for the Divine Thunder Realm. Upon arriving, I let Jaeon Myung-hoon and Golden Shaking Bird meet. This time, unlike in my past life, Golden Shaking Bird does not take a reckless gamble but instead assimilates obediently with the Great Desolate Path and activates it. Kurring, Kurururum. Entering the domain of lightning, I wait for Zhengli. Now Zhengli should come, delivering the will of the heavenly punishment supreme deity, right? Sure enough, just as Jaeon Myung-hoon and I prepare to move to another heavenly domain. Kurururum. Time seems to slow, and a familiar presence begins to enter the surroundings. Zhengli is trying to descend. At that moment, I take out the pure white wheel. Kijijijijik. The power of the wheel is the regulation of causality. History rewriting and similar abilities are merely additional effects born from the extreme application of this principle. Through the arrangement of causality, I can return the powers of other immortals, whether authority, history revision, prophecy, or immortal art, back to their original state. Kugugugugu. The outer edge of the pure white three great ultimates is encircled by the wheel. The white wheel devours the immense force emanating from the pure white three great ultimates and begins radiating a soft starlight. Kuriririk. I can sense Zhengli, who notices the wheel in the midst of descending, flinching from beyond. That's definitely the underworlds. Wait, Seo Eun-yun. It's nice to see you, Zhengli. Now that our long-awaited reunion is over, go back. I speak coldly as I begin to send Zhengli, who is trying to descend into the great desolate path, back to her original place. If it's with a liberated heavenly punishment supreme deity, it might be another matter. But do you think I would fear a mere projection of Zhengli in her current state? I cannot allow Zhengli to descend into this space. Otherwise, the heavenly punishment supreme deity will once again subtly divine descent into Zhengli's body and deliver a prophecy that will lead us to free them. I will not let myself be swayed again in this life. Wait, just listen for a moment. Seo Eun-yun. Zhengli shouts urgently from beyond the dimension. Kwakijijik. A rift of lightning tears through the void, and a hand formed of lightning forces its way through the dimensional gate. Jaeon Myung-hoon flinches in shock. This time, since Zhengli is hastily descending due to my interference, she fails to control time, allowing Golden Shaking Bird to notice her presence as well. You bitch. A filthy mutt dares to target Master again. Golden Shaking Bird begins to control the great desolate path. Once again, Zhengli is pushed back beyond the rift. Jaeon Myung-hoon, too, crackles with red lightning and reveals his fury. Zhengli. Perhaps because he has now become a true immortal, he no longer feels any fear in uttering Zhengli's name. He tightly grips a spear of red lightning. Kwakijijik. The lightning spear soars towards Zhengli, and though Zhengli's barely outstretched arm is pushed back beyond the dimensional gate. Wu Wang. I squeeze out all my strength and activate the wheel. It feels as if a storm is raging. Swept up in the storm surging from the wheel, Zhengli cannot cross over despite using all her strength. To make matters worse, the lightning dimensional gate she had kicked open begins to close. At least listen to me. Zhengli screams desperately, but I click my tongue and respond. No, I won't listen. I don't intend to listen. Go back already. Eek. Kugugugugu. The combined forces of Golden Shaking Bird, Jaeon Myung-hoon, and the wheel, now strengthened by my newly acquired three great ultimates, continue to intensify. Jaejeong. Barely clinging on beyond the dimension, Zhengli is ultimately flung away. Kwakijijik. At the same time, Golden Shaking Bird hurriedly closes Zhengli's dimensional gate that had formed inside the great desolate path. Master. Elder. Zhengli's main body is directly approaching this place. We need to flee to any heavenly domain at once. Though we have repelled Zhengli's projection, her enraged main body seems to be coming here in person. Jaeon Myung-hoon looks at me and asks. Seo Eun-yun, where do we go? I stroke my chin and think. The Bearing Tree heavenly domain is not an option. Glass Peacock saw my power and might have even brought their main body there. Excluding Sun and Moon, Bearing Tree, and Heavenly King, I think of the other heavenly domains. The Good Sight heavenly domain has Hyeon Mu guarding it. We do need to retrieve Kim Young-hoon from the outer sea, but honestly, I can always call Hyeon Mu from the interdimensional void. And since the Good Sight heavenly domain is practically Hyeon Mu's front yard, if she ever decides to kill us, we wouldn't even be able to resist. The Good Sight heavenly domain is out. The Earth Boundary heavenly domain is also a no-go. Although Kim Yeon is there, just thinking about what happened in my past life at the hands of the Liberation Supreme Deity makes my teeth tremble. Unless I break into Liberation Peach Garden Village from the outside and rescue her, getting trapped inside with her and trying to break out together is sheer madness. And regarding the Earth Axis heavenly domain, who knows what the Great Mountain Supreme Deity has done to it, so that's out. In that case, the only remaining options are the Twin Holding and Elephant Nose heavenly domains. Elephant Nose would be a good place to hide, but I recall receiving an immortal title from the naming supreme deity Hyeon Rang and giving them a portion of my desire in return. Damn it, it feels unsettling. Meeting a supreme deity with whom I have direct ties means carrying the risk of being manipulated by them at any moment, which leaves me with an uneasy feeling. This won't do. I can't be blindly manipulated by a supreme deity again like in my past life. Even if I go, it will only be after making thorough preparations. Because of Bong Myong in my previous life, my distrust of supreme deities has reached its peak. Then the only option left is the twin holding heavenly domain. I grit my teeth and shout. Head for the twin holding heavenly domain. Golden shaking bird. To the twin holding heavenly domain. Kurururung. We move through the world of thunder and lightning towards our destination. Before long, Kwakijijik, we emerge within the twin holding heavenly domain, from a lighting tribulation striking a star-shattering stage cultivator. After doing my best to ensure that the star-shattering esteemed one doesn't see us and die, I take a deep breath. For now, let's get some distance. We don't know what Zhengli might try to do through the tribulation. Agreed. Leaving the star-shattering esteemed one behind to endure the tribulation, I survey the twin holding heavenly domain with Jaeon Myong-hoon. Kororur. Golden shaking bird shifts from the form of the great desolate path into a hummingbird and flies towards us before transforming back into her human form. Twin holding heavenly domain. It's been a while. You've been here before. Yes, well, the twin holding and heavenly king heavenly domains are the two most active heavenly domains in the Sumeru Three Heavens Great Thousand World, after all. This is also where you, Master, shared union with Glass Peacock in your past life. Quote. Ahem. Well, anyway, this is fortunate. Jaeon Myong-hoon clears his throat before speaking. If you've been here before, then guide us. What kind of place is this, and why is it one of the most active? Yes. First, the fastest way to understand that would be to go meet the ruler of the twin holding heavenly domain. Would you like to go see them together? Exclamation mark. I flinch in surprise at her words. You mean to go meet the swallowing heaven supreme deity? Yes, well, that would be the case. Isn't that dangerous? The reason I avoided other heavenly domains was because their rulers were supreme deities or heavenly venerables with ties to me. Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity, Liberation Supreme Deity, Heavenly Venerable of Void, Radiance. Great Mountain. They all tried to use me as a pawn. I don't know much about the naming Supreme Deity, but I can't let my guard down with them either. Only the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity seemed uninterested in us, which was why I chose this place. And now she's telling us to go and meet them. Just as I'm about to refuse outright, Golden Shaking Bird's next words make me pause in confusion. Regardless of what happened, since we've entered a heavenly domain, it's only proper to pay our respects to its ruler, is it not? Please follow me. The Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity is a specialty of the twin holding heavenly domain, after all. Even shattering star-esteemed ones, true persons, and true immortals from other heavenly domains come here just to witness them. Huhut. Something about the way she speaks seems off. Jaeon Myong-hoon also looks puzzled, so Golden Shaking Bird giggles and grabs our hands, pulling us forward. Well, you'll both understand when you see for yourselves. Let's go. Since we're already here, we have to at least meet the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity. Wu Wang. It's just when she is about to use the ground shrinking technique. Gigajik. Exclamation mark. Suddenly, the direction of the attraction force she is exerting twists unpredictably. In the next moment, Kwang, we are abruptly yanked away to somewhere in an instant. It's fortunate that I was prepared and managed to disperse the impact, otherwise Jaeon Myong-hoon and I would have suffered a huge shock. Hey, Golden Shaking Bird, what just happened? It looked like your ground shrinking technique got distorted just now. Ha ha ha, of course. In the twin holding heavenly domain, all movement techniques that rely on attraction force are forbidden, after all. Here, no matter where you try to bend space to move, you'll be forcefully pulled to this location instead. Golden Shaking Bird points towards somewhere. The moment Jaeon Myong-hoon and I see it, our eyes widen. Since the ground shrinking technique doesn't work in the twin holding heavenly domain, long-distance travel is only possible through the explosions of Earth upper immortals. As a result, this place has become a paradise for countless Earth immortals. Now, allow me to introduce you to the greatest specialty of the twin holding heavenly domain, the one who distorts all attraction forces towards themselves. One of the two governing immortals who is an innate supreme deity, Their Majesty, the swallowing heaven supreme deity, Hyeon rule. Goo. What stands there is a massive darkness. All light is being sucked into it. All of a sudden, I realize it is a hole. But not just any hole. I feel an overwhelming degeneracy pressure from it. That thing is. My eyes bulge wide. A black hole. And not just any black hole, but a supermassive one large enough to match 5 entire superclusters. Quote. I turn to look at the figure that has suddenly appeared between Jaeon Myung-hoon, golden shaking bird, and myself. Quote. You, the swallowing heaven supreme deity Hyeon rule. An innate supreme deity, and an ancient remnant. A mantra left behind by a terrifying entity called, the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King. She twirls a strand of her blue hair around her fingers and smiles at me. At the same time, they say one of the two only governing immortals that possesses no reason. I hesitate, unsure of what to say to her. Then, recalling the words of Jaeon Myung-hoon from my past life, I open my mouth to speak. But regretfully, the one who makes the first move is her. Welcome to the swallowing heaven supreme deity's twin holding heavenly domain, Seo Eun-yun. I've missed you. Quote. Me too, Kong Min-hee. How many tens of thousands of years have passed since I became a true immortal? After such an endless long time, seeing a truly old comrade again brings a bright smile to my face. If you missed me, then help me brush my hair. It's been getting tangled a lot lately. She snaps her fingers, and in an instant, we are transported to somewhere in the depths of a deep and dark darkness. This place is. It's the same dark space I saw when I last tried to check on Kong Min-hee's whereabouts. So this place wasn't the underworld. I distinctly remember her being here before, learning how to draw tangwa. As I remain puzzled, Kong Min-hee gives me a faint smile and sits down, pulling out a comb. Listen while you brush. Surik. I naturally begin combing her hair. Jaeon Myung-hoon sits down indifferently, stroking Jin So-hae's hand like always. This place is a mysterious space, connected to various extraordinary realms, like the deepest depths of the underworld, the outer sea, and even the inner sanctum of Radiance Hall. At her next words, I flinch in surprise, and Golden Shaking Bird, trembling with horror, lets out a shrieking scream. We're inside the swallowing heaven supreme deity's stomach. 613. Master. We must run away. Hua. This devil hag, her goal was to throw us into the jaws of the swallowing heaven supreme deity and kill us all along. Golden Shaking Bird begins to have a fit, clinging to Jaeon Myung-hoon while screaming. Kong Min-hee bites down on her long pipe, as if her head hurts. Watching the scene. What's that now? Is that your pet, Jaeon Myung-hoon? Quote. There's a reason we're together. Jaeon Myung-hoon speaks while pushing the Golden Shaking Bird away. That one might be a bit violent, even breaking my leg and all, but still, she is my comrade. She didn't drag us in here just to kill us, so calm down. No, Master's leg. This devil hag dares. At Jaeon Myung-hoon's words, Golden Shaking Bird seems to calm down but soon growls at Kong Min-hee with fiery eyes. Kong Min-hee clicks her tongue as she exhales a stream of blue smoke. Calm down. You're safe as long as you stay with me. The blue smoke she exhales swirls around us. And I notice that her smoke draws a circle as it encircles this dark space. This is. Some power operating in this space forms a circle, protecting us. Flawless mantra. It's the essence that composes the swallowing heaven supreme deity, and at the same time, it's also a direct channel to the heavenly venerable of the underworld. I'm using the flawless mantra to make us recognized as part of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. So as long as the flawless mantra is active, we can stay inside here as long as we want. Quote. She looks at me and continues. You could probably walk around here even without me. You've learned the flawless mantra, after all. Quote. Seems like it. Somehow, this darkness feels familiar. It feels as though the darkness itself is welcoming me, and even if I step outside that circle where Kong Min-hee's power is at work, I feel like I'd be fine. It must be because I've learned the flawless mantra. Anyway, Kong Min-hee. After brushing all her hair, I tuck the comb into her hair and ask. You're not your main body, are you? Where's your main body? That's right. I sensed you guys coming and sent a temporary clone. My main body is deeper inside the swallowing heaven supreme deity. In the place connected to the heavenly venerable of the underworld, I'm learning something special from them. It seems she is learning how to draw a tangwa. What exactly are you learning? That, I can't tell you. It's highly confidential. I see. In that case, can I ask one favor? What kind of favor? Let me meet the heavenly venerable of the underworld. At my words, Kang Min-hee's eyes widen. Jaeon Myung-hoon also looks over, eyes brimming with interest. There's something I need to request. I think of Kim Yeon, trapped in Liberation Peach Garden Village. And Kim Young-hoon, wandering in the outer sea. But Kang Min-hee speaks with a hardened face. No, why not? Quote. You, judging by your winged garment, you're an upper immortal, aren't you? That's right. At the level of an upper immortal, you can't meet them. A faint fear lingers in her eyes. They want to capture all of Ascenders. At your level, you'll definitely be caught and sealed. I absolutely cannot allow it. Then why haven't you been sealed? That's simply because they value my talent highly. There's no greater reason. Kang Min-hee places a hand on her chest and continues speaking. They said all the strength and talent of Ascenders merely flow from something called fate. But the talent I possess, excluding my fate, still reaches a level comparable to an Ender's, which is why they are specially nurturing me as a candidate for a judge. No such exception applies to the other Enders. Especially, she speaks with a bitter gaze. When you advanced to true immortal, I admired your talent, Seo Eun-yun, and asked the heavenly venerable of the underworld. I asked if they couldn't take you as their disciple alongside me. But they told me this. That they must not take you as a disciple. Quote. It probably means you don't meet the criteria. That's why, unless you at least reach the level of Great Net Immortal, I cannot bring you before them. Kang Min-hee gestures toward the endlessly stretching world of darkness. Currently, all of us Enders are wanted by the beings called Radiance Hall. The reason I brought you all here is because the stomach of the Swallowing Heaven's Supreme Deity is the safest place. From now on, cultivate here. When you want to leave, you can speak the flawless mantra to me or Seo Eun-yun, and you'll be able to exit. If you're bored, you can go out to the Twin Holding Heavenly Domain and wander around. The Twin Holding Heavenly Domain is where various Earth Upper Immortals and True Immortals not affiliated with Radiance Hall gather, so there should be plenty to see. You're free here, but, she speaks with a resolute expression. Seo Eun-yun, I cannot introduce you to the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld, like you asked. To be introduced to them, you need to be at least Great Net Immortal, and ideally, you'd have to elevate your realm to the level of Immortal Lord. Otherwise, none of you can meet them. Quote. I let out a silent sigh. I can clearly feel her concern for me. But I have a definite reason why I must meet the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld. Trust me, Kang Min-hee. Even if I meet the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld, they won't try to taxidermize me. Quote. She closes her eyes, as if unwilling to hear any more, and melts into the darkness. I'll be with my main body. You all stay here and rest. The power of the flawless mantra will protect you as long as you don't step outside that blue smoke. Well then, Shiriririk. Watching her fully disappear from the space, I scratch my head. Well, this is quite. Originally, I planned to show her my 3 great ultimates right in front of her, but now it's gotten a bit tricky. Then, there's no helping it. I sigh and decide to go find Kang Min-hee's main body. Anyway, if it's her current self, she should be directly communing with the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld, receiving training. If I go to where her main body is, I should be able to meet the Heavenly Venerable. I take out Yo-hee, Yu-hee, Ham-jin, Hong-fan, Jun-jae, and those who were inside me into this space and ask. Hong-fan, you look after Yu-hee, Ham-jin, Jun-jae, and the others here. They haven't woken up yet, but if they do, explain the situation to them. And Jaeon Myung-hoon, Golden Shaking Bird. I'm going to find Kang Min-hee for a bit, so wait for me for a while. Got it, but how are you going to find her? This space inside the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity's belly, is a darkness where no attraction force or anything else can be sensed. There's a way to handle that. I speak as I fling open my internal world. With that, 5 colored light blooms from within my internal world. Among them, the red light merges into Jaeon Myung-hoon in the blink of an eye, while the color mixed of golden, purple, and silver fly off somewhere. The light pink light disappears on the spot as if teleporting, and the dark blue light cluster quickly shoots past into the darkness beyond. That must be where Kang Min-hee's main body is. Kuririk. In the past life, the movement speed of the lights were so fast that it was hard to chase after them. It's a little different now. In an instant, a pure white 3 great ultimates rises behind me. Triple divinity awakens my mind. Triple divinity is ultimately the extreme blossoming of intense characteristics. Thus, the method of operating triple divinity is ultimately similar to Consciousness. Acceleration. By the power of triple divinity, my mind seems to rise to a new dimension. It feels as though a new domain of the mind is being created. Quararararik. In an instant, a phenomenon occurs where the world of darkness seems to flatten into two dimensions. Pabat. I begin dash through the world narrowed into a two-dimensional plane. Narayana nature preserves my mind within this domain. Shiriririk. Along with it, Mahavira nature erases the distance that has been narrowed, allowing me to chase after those lights. For how long do I run after the cluster of lights, having entered a new dimension? Kurururung. I spot Kong Minhee's main body in the distance. The cluster of blue light enters and settles within Kong Minhee's body. She seems to be an upper immortal who has followed the earth upper immortal pathway, but perhaps because she is only at the level of a true immortal who learned the flawless mantra, even she cannot perceive me, who has arrived in this place in a fleeting instant. In this world where time seems to have stopped, I gently place my hand on her shoulder and land beside the spot where she is sitting. She is drawing a tangwa, but I cannot see what the tangwa depicts. The painting itself seems to have some sort of restriction. However, I soon lose interest in the tangwa and instead lower my waist, kneeling, and bowing towards the presence I feel before me. A familiar sensation, but a reverence and awe entirely different from before. Unlike before, precisely because of grown, I can feel just how terrifying that deep darkness is, just a little more vividly. I swallow hard, then open my mouth towards the presence before Kong Minhee. This lowly upper immortal, crystal glass being Seo Unyun, greets the heavenly venerable of the underworld. And then, Warururuk. In this frozen world, a familiar figure appears, holding a candle flame. A being at times resembling Tae Yaljaeon, at times the village girl from the mountain village, at times Kong Minhee, and at times Kim Yeon. Single quote. This is insane. Just her very existence makes chills run down my back. This a dimension reached by accelerating my consciousness, which has arrived at the true immortal level, to the point of transcendence. Even for me, moving within this dimension is burdensome, yet she moves so naturally within it. I realize as I look at her. The heavenly venerable of the underworld is the strongest. Not a single authority related to time would work on her. Aging through time acceleration would not work because her weight class is far too high, and time stop is meaningless as she, too, possesses the consciousness capable of entering a stopped world. Moreover, time reversal directly deals with past, and since the heavenly venerable of the underworld seized control of the history pathway, it would be effortlessly blocked. The Sal Tree heavenly venerable is the same. Even though they govern birth, considering that the reincarnation judge is effectively under the underworld's jurisdiction, it wouldn't be strange for their authority domain to be taken away entirely at any time. And the martial arts of the heavenly venerable of the underworld are also at a level comparable to Hyeon Mu, yet her weight class is even higher. No other heavenly venerable could reach even the tip of the underworld heavenly venerable's toes. It's just when I think so. Each has their own strengths. When it comes to embarking on far-reaching journeys and finding hidden coordinates, time is a step above me. Sal Tree as well is superior to me in granting birth and fate to life. And void, as well, I cannot be compared to. Quote. Having my thoughts seen through in an instant, I lower my head with a bitter smile. Why say such things? I am clearly of the heavenly venerables. If possible, I would prefer not to be called titles containing heaven Tien. The heavenly venerable of the underworld cuts off my words with an unexpected request, and I nod. So that's why they all called her Imperial Venerable. Quote. Yes, Imperial Venerable. I have clearly experienced the heart and heaven Tangwa painting of the Imperial Venerable. And when recalling having crossed swords with Hyeon Mu. Indeed, that heart and heaven Tangwa painting carried a similar feeling to Hyeon Mu's dance of emptiness. The only difference was in how delicately its power was adjusted. Aren't the Imperial Venerable's martial arts already in the same realm as the true martial great Emperor Hyeon Mu? At my question, the heavenly venerable of the underworld only smiles faintly. Then she opens her mouth. And at her next words, I cannot help but feel great shock. This technique you all call martial discipline is merely a technique I learned to discern enders. I have not learned his technique to a high realm. This lowly maiden is, at best by your standards, at the realm you call seated detachment, entering hope, or perhaps the first step before the throne. Quote. I flinch in surprise. Lowly maiden, you say. Why act like this towards me? No, more importantly, seated detachment, entering hope. But yours is clearly, through heterodox methods, I merely produced power equivalent to severing heaven by your standards. Unlike the versatile other heavenly venerables, this lowly maiden is merely an incompetent being who focused solely on the path of history. I am taken aback by the heavenly venerable of the underworld's sudden extreme self-deprecating attitude. Quote. Where did he suddenly disappear to? Jaeon Myung-hoon sits quietly, gazing off somewhere after Seo Eun-yun suddenly vanished. After Seo Eun-yun disappeared, saying he is going to find Kong Min-hee. Jaeon Myung-hoon felt an immense power welling up within his body and is currently calming that power. Because of the sudden surge in power, his mind temporarily awakened to the point of connecting to a strange space-time. Anyway, Jaeon Myung-hoon looks at Hong Fan in this world where everything has stopped and where the world feels as if it has turned two-dimensional. That guy just now, it looked like he moved. Or was it just my imagination? It was probably just his imagination. Man, what an odd expression. Jaeon Myung-hoon stares at Hong Fan, who is gazing fixedly at somewhere with an ambiguous expression. Where is he staring so intently like that with that face? As he steadies his power in the stopped world, Jaeon Myung-hoon glances towards the spot Hong Fan is fixated on, looking slightly bored. There is only darkness there. I look at the heavenly venerable of the underworld, who assumes a lower posture before me, and ask. May I know why you are suddenly doing this to me? Ho ho. But the heavenly venerable of the underworld simply smiles meaningfully and lowers her head even more in her transformation form. Something feels odd. It almost feels as though the one she is lowering herself to isn't me. Seeing as she's not telling me, she probably won't answer. Quote. Understood. I will not inquire about this matter. In that case, allow me to ask about one matter. What is it? I once heard from Yang Soo-jin. Strictly speaking, it was from a remnant thought of his. I heard that the Imperial Venerable tends to capture and taxidermy beings like us up to a certain standard, but if we surpass that standard, you provide support. Who? I would like to ask. Wu Wang. I raise the pure white three great ultimates as I speak. A force that seems capable of annihilating heaven and earth surges from the pure white three great ultimates. Do I, as I am now, meet the Imperial Venerable's standard? Quote. She stares at me silently for a moment. Single quote. Damn it. Just from her gaze, I feel as if I am falling into a bottomless pit. Quote. At your current level, the heavenly venerable of the underworld speaks after seeming to deliberate for a moment. You are exactly at the level of Yang Soo-jin, right before his advancement to Immortal Lord. Quote. Exclamation mark. That means. It means you do not meet the standard. Quote. Quote. I almost smile but instead break out into a cold sweat. Damn it all. For a moment, I even wonder if I am about to be taxidermized. But I quickly pull myself together. No, the fact that she is speaking calmly with me means there is still room left. If it's the level of Yang Soo-jin before advancing to Immortal Lord, may I take that to mean I am almost at the threshold? After all, Yang Soo-jin died when he was an Immortal Lord. Yes, well, that is correct. But rather than almost, let's say so. Therefore, it is because you are in an ambiguous state that I am leaving you be. If I see no further potential, I will taxidermize you immediately. But since there is still a sprout to be seen, I am allowing you time to grow. Quote. So full support is still difficult for now. That is correct. I bite my lip. Single quote. So full support is out, huh? But that's fine. I have something prepared precisely for a situation like this. In that case, even if support is not possible, would a transaction be acceptable? A transaction is fine. However, I wonder if you possess something that would satisfy this maiden. It is not an object, but perhaps this will interest you. Confidently, I pull out the card that I've kept. The true will of Radiance Hall and the Radiance Supreme Deity, and their ultimate goal. Would you care to hear it? Quote. Go ahead and recite it. She smiles meaningfully with an oddly languid expression. So bargaining won't work. Seeing that smile, I think. First, let's lay out the information, then state what I want. The starting point to saving Kim Young-hoon, Kim Yeon, and Oh Yun-sok lies solely with the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Then, I will speak. Of course, there is the possibility that the heavenly venerable of the underworld already knows. Even so, what I intend to propose should be of use even to her. And if not, she'll just tell me to stop halfway. With that, I begin to reveal the ultimate goal of Radiance Hall and the true will of the Radiance Supreme Deity. Chapter 614, A Hungry World 3. The value of Radiance Hall is freedom. The Radiance 8 Immortals teach all the true immortals of Radiance Hall in this way. Quote. And, they abhor fate. It is truly an amusing matter. A paradox where Radiance Hall, the group representing the fate of the entire universe, the group of heaven immortals that have seized control of the fate pathway, abhors fate. To be precise, they abhor fate being toyed with by beings who possess emotions. Those that abhor those who oppress the weak with violence that cannot be resisted. That is exactly what Radiance Hall is. That is why they claim only those who meet their standards should elevate their realms and become true immortals. When I first heard of their ideology from young I thought, isn't that too much of a suffocating method? If someone becoming a true immortal, or elevating their realm, is determined solely by Radiance Hall, does that not mean everything is determined solely by them? Is that not closer to yet another form of tyranny rather than enlightened rule? Such thoughts crossed my mind. However, once I came to know the true will of the Radiance 8 Immortals through Mike Jin, I came to understand. It was not a suffocating method. It was the way of madmen. That is why, the ultimate objective of the Radiance 8 Immortals and the Radiance Supreme Deity has veered to a truly extreme direction. In the early moments of this life, it is not without reason that, despite the sorrowful voice of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, I ignored her and fled. Let us erase the existence of all immortal families from this world. Yes, this is precisely the ultimate goal of the Radiance 8 Immortals and the Radiance Supreme Deity of Radiance Hall. Let us eliminate all who can toy with fate. Even if it is not fate, let us eliminate all cultivators who, through transcendent power, can blanket the world and oppress the weak mortals. Those who begin to obtain the possibility of transcendence, let us annihilate all cultivators starting from the 4-axis stage, as well as all true immortals, and allow only the Radiance 8 Immortals and the Radiance Supreme Deity to rule the world. A truth so deranged that anyone who learns of it would dismiss it as the delusions of a lunatic. A top-secret objective the Radiance 8 Immortals never disclose even to the true immortals belonging to Radiance Hall. Let us have the Radiance 8 Immortals of Radiance Hall sever their emotions and use them only as tools, establishing an ideal world governing system where they are never swayed by emotions. And, since eternal rule is neither good for the Radiance 8 Immortals themselves nor for the world, after a set period, let us have the Radiance 8 Immortals change generations. Through the fate they bestow, let us have the Radiance 8 Immortals choose candidates among the mortals and impart to them their ideology and values. Until they become the Radiance 8 Immortals, they may not be freed due to their fate, but once they have become Radiance 8 Immortals, they will be given freedom with only their emotions severed. In this way, the more I reflect, the more I realize how chilling this goal is. Everyone in this world will possess freedom. Both those who rule and the mortals who are no longer subject to having their fate toyed with by transcendence. It must be because I had stolen the light from the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord's domain that, in my past life, I too became extreme and blocked immortal cultivation. I too had been deeply influenced by the ideology of the Radiance 8 Immortals. And through her, I came to understand. The fact that I changed so drastically after taking the light of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord means the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord herself also follows and supports that ideology of her own free will. This is the ultimate objective of Radiance Hall. It is a purpose that can only be described as utterly repulsive and chilling. The eradication of all true immortals and all cultivators above the 4-axis stage. That is practically, as if they intend to drive immortal cultivation entirely out of this world. Then, listening to my words, the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld smiles subtly and speaks. I already knew such things. Quote. However, you seem to have something else hidden within. Perhaps that is the true content you intend to offer me as a transaction. Please speak. Indeed, there is no way the Heavenly Venerable of the Netherworld wouldn't already know this. The reason I brought this up is not merely to convey the ultimate objective of Radiance Hall. Quote. My senior brother, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity GWAKM, is currently in Penglai Island. I weave together the information I gained in my past life inside my mind. Radiance Hall joined hands with GWAKM, who seeks to annihilate the entirety of Mount Sumeru. They must have believed that annihilating all of Mount Sumeru would assist in eradicating all cultivators in this world. Most likely, they were hiding out in the outer sea, or through some other method, they ensured their successors through prophecy and were waiting for death. I pieced together the information I gathered in the previous cycle. Definitely, during the War of Radiance Hall, the underworld forces did not intervene in the war and instead set off to find Penglai Island. There is no way the heavenly venerable of the underworld would have suddenly sent her judges and reapers to Penglai Island without reason. Which means, it was to stop the great mountain supreme deity. This is proof that the heavenly venerable of the underworld does not wish for the destruction of this world. Quote. The imperial venerable has already noticed my ability, did you not? Ho ho. Quote. With my ability, I can find Penglai Island before Mount Sumeru is destroyed. I promise to find Penglai Island for you. So please, assist me. That's right. The price I offer for this transaction is none other than Penglai Island. Knowing that the heavenly venerable of the underworld sought Penglai Island in my past life, I present the search for Penglai Island as my offer to her. The ultimate objective of Radiance Hall might not be much help, but this much should be enough. For a while, with the candle flame between us, the heavenly venerable of the underworld remains silent. Then, shortly after, she smiles meaningfully and speaks. I, too, have the salt sea returning dew jade. I can find the path and coordinates from the outer sea. So why must I borrow your ability? I am aware, with the Imperial Venerable's ability, you surely have the ability to locate Penglai Island. However, the Imperial Venerable knows as well. Even if you find Penglai Island, you cannot enter it. Quote. Penglai Island is currently a world with a master, and that master will not open the door from within. Is that not so? Ho ho. As if my words strike directly at the mark, she smiles faintly. Quote. But must you always laugh, ho ho, like that? Pardon, forgive me, I truly apologize. Anyway, I clear my throat and continue. In my past life, even though the heavenly venerable of the underworld possessed the salt sea returning dew jade and sent the judges, the splitting heaven mantra of the great mountain supreme deity still activated. That means, the only conclusion I can reach is that even though she found Penglai Island with the salt sea returning dew jade, the great mountain supreme deity sealed the door from within and refused to let her enter. And if that is so, then surely, I can propose a deal with her. If it is me, I can definitely enter Penglai Island. Because, the great mountain supreme deity is, regardless of everything, my senior brother. Quote. They will open the door only for me. No matter when, I will go to Penglai Island and force open its doors. So, please, lend me your aid. After smiling at me for a while, I feel the heavenly venerable of the underworld smiling. Quote. It seems you have come prepared. Seeing how firmly you have constructed your argument. Thank you for the compliment. However, what if I possess the strength to directly find Penglai Road, pierce through it in one strike, and kill the great mountain supreme deity within? Quote. Exclamation mark quote. I grit my teeth. The power of the heavenly venerable of the underworld is indeed overwhelming. So much so that there is a possibility her words are true. Goo. Answer me. Gradually, the face of the being before me fades away. It is no longer human. It is darkness. A deep and vast darkness. I feel like I'm going to be crushed. I fail to endure the rank exuded by the heavenly venerable of the underworld and gasp for breath. What is this? Even when I first saw the great mountain supreme deity, I did not feel this level of pressure. Not even when I first saw Bong Myong, nor when I first faced Black Dragon, nor even when I witnessed the heavenly punishment supreme deity during my mortal being days. This is the first time I have felt such a vicious oppression. Hyeon Mu, Cheon Woon, Guan Myong. Even if all three heavenly venerables combine their strength, I feel they would be no match for this existence. The words just spoken by the heavenly venerable of the underworld seem entirely true. I'll die. I realize that if I speak wrongly here, I will die and be taxidermized within this darkness. But I bite down hard on my lips. Blood seeps from my mouth. Single quote. I am not afraid. What I should truly fear is thinking that I have a plum in my mouth. I start to straighten my posture once again. Even if I die in the evening, failing to do what I must in the morning. Woo-doo-dook. Under the pressure that feels like it is shattering my entire body, I raise myself up. The faint scent of plum seems to linger in my mouth. Then, what is it that you desire? I implore the Imperial Venerable to give me your command. I shall fulfill what the Imperial Venerable wants. What is required of me to ask for the Imperial Venerable's aid? My resonant voice echoes within the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Immediately after, the pressure vanishes, and before my eyes appears once more the transformation form of the heavenly venerable of the underworld, holding a candle. No matter how many times I see you, you are pleasing. Quote. Though the pressure is gone, I do not lower my guard as I gaze at her. If you were not my friend's disciple, you are the sort of person I would wish to bring under my tutelage. Ho ho, very well, I shall grant your request. It is true I possess the strength to personally resolve this situation, but it is power I must conserve, so using it now would be a significant loss. The heavenly venerable of the underworld nods lightly and rises from her seat. Go forth. Then, what you seek will be delivered to you. But, it will be, this one time only. From here on, you must seize things with your own strength. Yes, in return, you must uphold the promise you spoke of. Even if you must grind away lifetimes, even if you must die 100 times over, you must stop the tyranny of your senior brother. That is all. Having finished speaking, the heavenly venerable of the underworld erases her presence and disappears before my eyes. Wu Wang. Now, the only one beside me is Kong Minhee, who is gradually awakening her mind as she accepts the light of the Tengwa I received in the past life. I recall the words of the heavenly venerable of the underworld as I watch Kong Minhee, then operate the flawless mantra to exit the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. How long do I wander inside the belly of the swallowing heaven supreme deity? Quack. At last, I emerge from within the swallowing heaven supreme deity's belly. Just then, quirururururung, with a deafening roar that feels as if the entire world is shaking, I see the sky of the twin holding heavenly domain being torn apart. Quote exclamation mark quote. Goo. An infinite darkness seems to fill the twin holding heavenly domain, and from within, some people fall. It is Kim Yeon, wearing an utterly dumbfounded expression. Oh Yun Sok, eyes wide open in shock. And Kim Young-hoon's body, appearing to have lost its consciousness. I hastily catch them, and then taken aback, look up at the sky of the twin holding heavenly domain that is mending itself again. And no, she did say she would grant me what I desired. But I didn't expect she would immediately return my comrades like this, leaving me somewhat utterly dumbfounded. It's really this easy. Really, it feels a bit absurd, but I bite my lip as I recall her words about it being, this one time only. It's only in this lifetime. From the next life onwards, it won't work. Which means, from now on, I must strive to be able to save my comrades by my own strength alone. Sururuk. Sensing a presence behind me, I glance back into the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. The golden god of this generation, after receiving the inheritance, has immediately entered deep into the outer sea. However, as long as all of you are gathered together, he will be drawn by attraction force and inevitably return to your side, so do not worry. After informing me of Kim Young-hoon's current state, the heavenly venerable of the underworld completely conceals her presence. Thus, having reunited with all my comrades, I offer a deep gratitude towards the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Quote. Thank you, O Imperial Venerable, I have found all of my comrades in this life. Now, cultivation, only endless cultivation awaits. I resolve firmly and gaze at the sky. Seo Eun-yun. Hung Nim, Kim Yeon, this place is. Haha, it's been a while, Yun Sok Hung Nim. I look at Oh Yun Sok and smile, and he seems flustered. It is when I try to explain the situation to him. Master, what has happened? Hong Fan rushes out from within the swallowing heaven supreme deity's belly, and Oh Yun Sok, upon seeing Hong Fan, opens his eyes wide, then smiles as if he finally understands. Ah, I see, I understand now. It was Master who helped us. Quote. 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 Hong Fan and I both stand there, confused, while Oh Yun Sok immediately bows deeply towards Hong Fan. I can only be grateful for Master's grace. Eun-yun, Kim Yeon, offer your greetings. This person is none other than the High Spirit Grand Dao Nine Heavens overseeing fate-preserving life Celestial Great Emperor. Their Majesty, the naming Supreme Deity Hyeon Rang. Master has reunited us. 615. Yun Sok Hung Nim. My eyes meet Oh Yun Sok's. Oh Yun Sok glances at me, clearly signaling why I'm not quickly bowing to Hong Fan already. But I awkwardly clear my throat and speak. Do you perhaps remember, the Hong Fan who used to be with me before? Then Oh Yun Sok quietly glances up at Hong Fan. Hong Fan blinks with an utterly clueless expression. And Oh Yun Sok, who is staring at Hong Fan, also starts blinking and begins to look at him more closely. Wait, you. Rubbing his eyes, Oh Yun Sok stands up from his seat and starts to chuckle. This is quite surprising. You're Hong Fan. Yes, that is correct. My apologies. I was mistaken. Quote. It seems Oh Yun-sok momentarily mistook Hong Fan for the naming supreme deity. Why in the world did you mistake Hong Fan for the naming supreme deity? Ha ha ha, well, sorry about that. The moment I suddenly fell here, I thought I saw my master in front of me. But now that I look closely, Hong Fan appears a bit older, and his appearance is subtly different. I become intrigued by those words and ask. Does Hong Fan's current form resemble the naming supreme deity quite a bit? It seems there is some resemblance. But if you look closely, the differences stand out. I must have simply been mistaken just now. I look at Hong Fan. Thanks to having reached the sacred vessel stage, Hong Fan now appears significantly younger. He appears as a middle-aged man in his late 40s to early 50s. Wearing a black robe and sporting a well-groomed black beard, he has the air of a refined middle-aged man. So that appearance is said to resemble the naming supreme deity. I ponder for a moment and then ask. Hong Fan, do you perhaps recall anything related to your past life? If Hong Fan's transformation form bears resemblance to the naming supreme deity, there is a high chance it stems from his past life. Considering that Hyeon Rang was once the immortal beast king, yes. There is certainly a strong possibility that they might be connected to Hong Fan. Hong Fan scratches his head and then speaks. I'm not quite sure. It feels like too distant a story. But still, for someone lowly like me to be associated with a supreme deity, it feels rather pleasant, haha. So nothing particular comes to mind. I shift my gaze away from Hong Fan with a slightly disappointed expression. It is then, I suddenly look back at Hong Fan. He stands there with the appearance of a middle-aged man in his late 40s, dressed in a black robe and with a well-groomed black beard. What is this? As I look at him, I get the strange feeling that I've seen someone like that before. Why does this feel familiar? I flip through the canvas of myriad forms and connections, but no such figure comes to mind. Is it just my imagination? There is something inexplicably familiar about him. And somehow, I get the feeling that if Hong Fan were to become just a bit younger, I might be able to grasp the answer. Hong Fan, regarding you, yes, Master, how long do you think it'll take you to reach the entering nirvana stage? My sacred vessel stage cultivation is nearing its end, so I believe I should be able to reach the entering nirvana stage smoothly in about 1,000 years. Is that so? Got it. Probably by then, I will naturally get to see Hong Fan's younger appearance, so I decide to resolve my question at that time. For now, welcome to the twin-holding heavenly domain, Yun-sok Hung Nim. And, Yi and Ah, I hug the two comrades I haven't seen in a long while. I explain the current situation to them thoroughly, and together, we re-enter the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Kong Min-hee also seems to have received some notice from the heavenly venerable of the underworld, as she is waiting for us with Jaeon Myung-hoon. For the first time in a truly long while, all of us gather together, and the six of us are finally able to talk and catch up again. Although, strictly speaking, Kim Young-hoon is present only in body. Inside the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity, where no light reaches. Together with my comrades, I reassess our goals. First, I will go over our current goals. Starting with Young-hoon Hung Nim. I look at the unconscious body of Kim Young-hoon. Hung Nim's goal is to return home and reunite with his family. For that, he even reached entering heavens. And Jung Myung-hoon, revenge. Jaeon Myung-hoon clenches Jin So-hae's hand tightly, spitting the words out. That's all there is. Once, he had the look of a thug. But now, having advanced to true immortality without cutting his hair, he has long, disheveled hair. The eyes that used to brim with confidence are now filled with pain and gloom. Revenge against the heavenly punishment supreme deity in Zhengli. That is Jaeon Myung-hoon's purpose. Right, then, Kong Min-hee, what about you? Protecting all of you. For now, that's it. But since it's a bit vague, there's also the goal my master, the Imperial Venerable, has set for me, which is to become a judge. In other words, becoming an immortal lord. And personally, I want to become a judge and embrace the pitiful souls. It seems Kong Min-hee's goal is to become a judge. What about you, Hung Nim? Oh Yun-sok's eyes gleam. To go to Punglai Island, find my daughter, and return home. He clenches his fist. Those who know will know, but, back on Earth, I lost a child. That child was also a daughter. Grinding his teeth, he continues. I will never lose my family, or my child again. That is my goal. And his next words make me flinch in surprise. Hi Seo. I also want to meet that child again one day and talk. Even though at some point she turned against us and showed a cruel side, she definitely had a gentle side when she was young. I nod, then finally look towards Kim Yeon. She says she will pierce through the restriction on her word spirit, become fully liberated from the liberation supreme deity someday, and speak the words she must deliver. Hong Fan strokes his beard as he interprets Kim Yeon's words. Kim Young-hoon's goal is to return home. Jaeon Myung-hoon's is revenge against the heavenly punishment supreme deity. Kang Min-hee's is to protect us. Oh Yun-sok's is to return home with his family. Kim Yeon's is liberation from the liberation supreme deity. Then, I state my own goal. I am similar to everyone. I also have to return home, and there is someone I must take revenge on. And, in order for all of us to achieve our goals, there is one thing we must do. Wo Wang, I draw an inverted cone through the phenomena extinguishing mantra in the void and show my comrades a map of Mount Sumeru. This is Mount Sumeru, where we are. A world shaped like an inverted cone. Several truths of the world. And, to return home, all of us must reach the audience chamber in the 33rd heaven, located at the vertex of Mount Sumeru. And perhaps, the one guarding the audience chamber, predicted to be the gatekeeper, is precisely the head realm we began from. I speak of the conclusion to which we enders are bound by fate. The emptiness supreme deity Myung-woon. We must defeat them. Anyone who wishes to return home must overcome them. I look around at my comrades. The goal of those who want to return home is the emptiness supreme deity. And even for those who do not, their targets are all supreme deities. Kim Young-hoon, Oh Yun-sok, and I must face the emptiness supreme deity. Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kim Yeon, and I each must target the heavenly punishment supreme deity, liberation supreme deity, and the great mountain supreme deity respectively. Even in Kang Min-hee's case, since her goal is ultimately to protect us, she is inevitably bound to clash with the supreme deities. In the end, all of our objectives require reaching the level of supreme deities. To do that, we must all, whether through the power we received when crossing into this world or by cultivating other powers, raise our realms. Wang, I bitterly look down at my hands. To reach great net immortal, how long will it take? That is why I propose this to all of you. From today onwards, no matter how much time passes, let us help one another and support each other's cultivation. And, I recall the past life. With the war against Radiance Hall breaking out, how 10 million years later, all my comrades had died. No matter what happens, no matter what great wars sweep across the world, unless we each reach a certain realm, let us restrain ourselves and conserve our strength. Because only then, will the probability of all of us reaching the conclusion increase. I look at them and speak. Is that acceptable to you all? Jaeon Myung-hoon and Kim Yeon immediately nod. Kang Min-hee and Oh Yun-sok seem to deliberate for a moment before speaking. All right, got it. Thus, from that day, we agree to enter into a long period of cultivation. Afterwards, I also tell them not to recklessly speak their fates, and give them a general explanation about Enders and the 7 Brilliances Kings. Having reviewed our objectives and decided to stay cautious in this twin-holding heavenly domain, our meeting comes to an end. After the meeting, each comrade either heads outside the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity or goes deeper in to begin cultivation. Kang Min-hee sends her clone to assist their passage. As I watch my comrades disappear, I suddenly turn to Hong Fan beside me. Ah, now that I think about it, I'm sorry, Hong Fan. You're also a comrade, but I never asked you your goal. Haha, it's fine. My goal is nothing grand like Master's or the others. Still, I'm sorry. Could you perhaps answer me, even if it's just once more? What is your goal? Master already knows, doesn't he? My goal and my fate is simply to serve Master and your comrades well, to follow and watch over you all. I see. I'm always grateful. I pat Hong Fan on the shoulder and leave the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity with him. Then, suddenly, I feel an odd sense of déjà vu. Something feels off. Hong Fan. Yes, Master. Did you originally use the flawless mantra? Yin Yang. It's nothing. It seems a bit strange that Hong Fan uses the flawless mantra. But thinking carefully, it was Hong Fan who extracted the flawless mantra from Kang Min-hee and taught it to me in the first place. It's only natural that Hong Fan uses the flawless mantra. Yes, well, I taught it to you last time, didn't I? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, that's true. We exit the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. In the distance, I see Oh Yun-sok, Kim Yeon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, and Golden Shaking Bird gathered, discussing something. Oh, Seo Eun-yun. we've decided to first look for a suitable place to cultivate. It seems for Kong Min-hee, the supreme deity's body is ideal, but for us, it's not much more than a shelter. So, for now, we've decided to explore this place with Golden Shaking Bird's guidance. A good idea, I'll join you. Thus, my comrades and I decide to explore the twin holding heavenly domain. Kurururung. I first transform into the form of Candle Shadow, letting my comrades ride on my back, and use the power of explosion to break away from the vicinity of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Ehem. Then, I shall begin today's tour of the twin holding heavenly domain. Golden Shaking Bird climbs atop my head, pointing towards the twin holding heavenly domain and begins introducing it. First, let me explain the origin of the name, and why it is called the twin holding heavenly domain. Ho, alright, go ahead and tell us. When Jaeon Myung-hoon asks curiously, Golden Shaking Bird twitches her ears happily and continues. Originally, the name of the twin holding heavenly domain was Ugomdara Ugien Da Luo, given by a being known as the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King. Apparently, it's a transliteration of the language from their homeland, but the exact meaning is unknown. Later, Radiance Hall gave it the name Holding Twin Kai Shuang Heavenly Domain. Holding Twin Heavenly Domain, but it's been flipped. Jaeon Myung-hoon looks puzzled, and my eyes gleam. That is right. Why it is called Twin Holding, I'm not entirely sure, but it is said to have been influenced by beings known as the Buddhist Twin Venerables. Something about how there are two paths the wheel has passed. Wheel, two paths. I immediately understand. I see. This being known as the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King must have sought help from my master and the Heavenly Venerable of the underworld. The Axle Imperial Venerable and the Wheel Imperial Venerable. Perhaps what was completed with their help is the immortal art that is the swallowing heaven supreme deity. It seems plausible. However, as soon as Radiance Hall named it the Holding Twin Heavenly Domain, something strange happened. What is it? By the power of the swallowing heaven supreme deity, the name was immediately flipped. It is said that even back then, there was the naming supreme deity occupying the seat of names, but the name that was bestowed by both the naming supreme deity and Radiance Hall was overturned. With it completely flipped, the naming supreme deity and Radiance Hall tried to correct the name again, but she shrugs her shoulders as she explains. In the end, the name, reversed to Twin Holding, never changed. As if the flipped ordering was its original name. As I listen to the story, I feel like I'm starting to understand something. Then, it's when I look towards the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Quote. The black hole the size of 5 superclusters disappears. And in its place, someone of equal magnitude sits in a lotus position. That someone wears a dignified pitch-black dragon robe and Myangwan, and all over their body, countless mouths grow, tearing apart the void and endlessly devouring the very fabric of the dimension itself. Their face is shrouded in darkness, unseen. However, that being is sitting in a lotus position upside down, and somehow, I feel as though I meet their gaze. Shiver. A chill runs through my entire body. Yet, nothing earth-shattering occurs. Single quote. Fortunately, they don't seem to want to interfere. Though they seem to be watching me, unlike the other supreme deities, they show no particular interest in us. Perhaps because they are an innate supreme deity born from a mantra, their consciousness itself feels faint. That is the swallowing heaven supreme deity. I click my tongue and look at the swallowing heaven supreme deity, then shift my gaze forward again. Quote. The inversion is probably the influence of the flawless mantra. I recall the appearance of the swallowing heaven supreme deity sitting in a lotus position, upside down. Their actual appearance is the form of a black sphere, but what I saw must be the essence of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. The flawless mantra is something that can only be cultivated by flipping oneself upside down. Because the swallowing heaven supreme deity endlessly recites the flawless mantra upside down, that is probably why it flipped like that. At my explanation, everyone nods, intrigued. You're very knowledgeable, Elder. And as you know, the twin holding heavenly domain is the heavenly domain of a supreme deity whose reason is faint, the swallowing heaven supreme deity. That's right. And because of that, those who want to be free from the subordination of other supreme deities, or true immortals not affiliated with Radiance Hall, all end up coming to the twin holding heavenly domain. Kugugugugu. In the distance, 2 powerful presences are felt. I look toward them, my eyes glinting. True immortals. It is quite a fascinating experience. This isn't a confined space like Liberation Peach Garden in the Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain, but an open and expansive heavenly domain. Yet, to encounter true immortals here means If it's elders like yourselves, you've likely not met many other true immortals besides me. But here, in the twin-holding heavenly domain, you might be able to meet and form connections with many true immortals and, Hiya-og. Suddenly, Golden Shaking Bird's face flushes bright red as she covers her eyes. She looks embarrassed. Quote. Why are you doing that, Golden Shaking Bird? We all look puzzled, and Golden Shaking Bird speaks with a flushed face. When I glance ahead, I suddenly see the Vestige Liberation Immortals whose massive presences have been felt for a while. They do not take their transformation form. Instead, they have descended directly in their main bodies. Having descended into the cosmic space in their main bodies, these true immortals are entangled with each other. True immortals, rather than possessing a singular physical body, are closer to being a concept or a massive mass of energy, so their entanglement appears like two nebulae writhing and overlapping. Kururururung. Between the two true immortals, a son is being born. Watching this, I feel utterly bewildered. What is it about this scene that makes her react like this? And at Golden Shaking Bird's next words, my comrades and I are all left dumbfounded. Those lecherous bastards. In a public place, they're shamelessly showing off their bedroom arts. See crazy lunatics. Quote. We all stare blankly at the two intertwined masses of nebulae. Within them, a sun is being born.